Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for The Walking Dead, Season 7. And this video is going to be reviewing the latest episode of The Walking Dead, which was called Something They Need. If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I suggest you exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. So overall, I thought this episode was very, very good. I liked how it picked up with some of the storylines from last week with Rosita, with Sasha, the Sanctuary, seeing what Rick's group was up to. I think it definitely did a lot of great things, definitely set up a very, what's probably going to be one of the best season finales of the show. Potentially has the ability to be the best episode, in my opinion. I think they really have saved a lot up for this upcoming episode, and I really am looking forward to seeing what they can do. But I thought they did a lot of good things in this episode that really are going to set up what will happen in next week's conclusion of The Walking Dead Season 7. Hard to believe it's already here, but, this season has had its ups and downs. It's definitely been down at times, seeing the way that the group has been since Negan's introduction. But on the other hand, I think it's provided a lot of good stories, great performances from the actors and actresses. So ultimately, I think that it's still as amazing as it could ever be, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us in the future. So here's basically what happened in this episode. It was divided up into 3 different stories. We had the Sanctuary, we had scenes at the Hilltop, and we had Rick's group. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened in each one. I'll go over quickly what happened with the Hilltop. We saw that the Hilltop was continuing to, just prepare their community for the future. Maggie was showing people how to farm, really having more of a positive experience. Gregory is beginning to notice that people continue to look towards Maggie as a leader. And you even heard the one guy, I think his name's Eduardo, you heard him calling Maggie boss lady. So really you see that Maggie has had such a positive influence in the community. But of course, Gregory worries about that. Gregory has always seen himself as the leader, the most important person in the community, perhaps in the world that's left, knowing his ego. But he feels threatened by Maggie. And there is a time when he and Maggie go outside of the walls to go get a plant. And during this time period, Maggie's saying, hey, let's work together. Look, you and I both are big figures in this community. We can make this place better. We can continue to do it, but only if we work together. And Gregory kind of goes along with that. But, there is a time when Maggie has her back turned to him. He has a knife in his hand guarding her against walkers. He's contemplating whether to do something with it. I know he did. He thought otherwise. And, of course, he saw Walker. And originally, Maggie was going to go and kill it for him, but Gregory said, no, I got this. I'm protecting you. But, of course, we saw that Gregory was very unsure of himself. And it turns out he's never actually killed a Walker before. He has never done that before. And, again, tonight, he still has not had to. He tried, could not bring himself to do it. Maggie did it. And then a second Walker appeared, so Maggie had to save him. And when people were walking by because Gregory was screaming, Maggie says, it's okay. He's learning. He's never killed one before. And the people are like, really? That's not what he said to us. So it's very clear that Gregory realizes his position in the community is really in danger as leader. He feels threatened. And at the very end of this episode, we saw him getting ready to leave the Hilltop for the Sanctuary with Cal. They're going to go there, and perhaps Gregory is going to let Simon know what's going on, and perhaps that might be something that they might deal with in this episode coming up or in next season. But I think that Gregory really is starting to become in a sense, the threat that he is, and I think that it's really going to have some bad repercussions for him and maybe for the Hilltop, who knows, but that's basically what happened in Hilltop. Now, with Rick's group, we saw them going to Oceanside to get the guns. That had been the plan. Tara did reveal about Oceanside, about the guns, told them why she didn't tell them originally, and the group understood, but they realized that now was the time that they needed to move in. Tara agreed with this and agreed to play a role. Now, what they did was they set dynamite around the perimeter to, in a sense, corral the members together. So that way they could, in a sense, follow a certain path. They set it far enough that hopefully no one would get killed or hurt in the blasts. And the plan was to just keep them in an area so they could surround them with the few people that they had, because they really didn't have a lot of people. Oceanside practically almost outnumbered them. But Tara tried to go in at first to prevent all this from happening. She went in, she was able to corner Natalya and Cindy, the leader, and her granddaughter that we met in the episode Swear, and she tried to convince them not to let this happen. She apologized that she broke her word, because she knows she made that to Cindy. She knows that she did break her promise, and Natalya is as stubborn as ever, just says, no, we're not doing any of this. We're not fighting. We're not helping you. You need to leave. You need to get away from us. We're hiding. We're not going to do anything. She tries to get them to change their mind, to no avail. And at one point, Natalya and Cindy end up getting the upper hand on Tara and take her prisoner. But at this time, the events have started. The dynamite goes off. The other members start running towards the shed where the guns are at, but they are met by many members of Alexandria and Jesus. Jesus ended up coming along and helping out. They are able to take everybody at Oceanside prisoner except for Natalya and Cindy. And what happens is Natalya has Tara as prisoner. She's holding a gun to her head, basically saying, no, this isn't going to happen. You guys need to leave, or else I'm going to kill Tara. And Rick tries to reason with her, tries to really realize that, we're fighting. We're doing this. Basically telling her, look, nothing you do here is going to change anything. If you kill Tara, we're going to kill you, and we're still going to have the guns anyway. So that's your choice. But Natalya really just does not want to listen to reason. She's firm in her position, but she also, in a sense, she wants to keep everybody safe. That really she is willing to die if it means that the rest of the people in the community can be safe. So we do see that she is caring. She does have her heart in the right place, doing it for the right reasons, but it is presenting a threat, and it goes contrary to what Rick's group believes. Now, the good news is walkers end up showing up before anything can happen, and Cindy takes the opportunity. She actually hits her grandmother, Natalya, on the back of the head with her gun, knocking her out, and it prevents Tara from being killed. But at this time, you have a huge crowd of walkers coming their way. They were probably some of the most disgusting walkers I have seen. They obviously had been in the ocean. They had coral, other plants growing on them. It was absolutely sick. But everybody worked together to take out the walkers, even the people from Oceanside. Some of them assisted. Now, what ended up happening was Natalya ended up, relinquishing the guns. She admitted defeat, but she wasn't going to fight. She's very firm on that position. And because of that, nobody else from Oceanside goes along. So they give over all of their guns, every single one of them, actually, but they do not end up going along to help out in the fight. And on the way out, Tara basically says, hey, we did what we had to do. She's come to terms with breaking her promise, seeing just the passion that people have in the community, knowing that they are going to fight. They do actually believe in Rick's group, and hopefully that gamble does end up paying off. But we also saw on the way out, Tara flipped that little girl, Rachel the bird. Again, that's like their symbol, flipping the middle finger. But it was definitely very, very nice to see that nobody did get hurt. They were able to accomplish their mission, and hopefully those guns will be used next week to take out some of the saviors. Now, the biggest story, probably some of the most shocking things in this episode, happened at the sanctuary. We found out Sasha was taken prisoner. She was not killed, but they ended up, overtaking her. They tied her up and they put her in the cell. Probably the one that Daryl was in, or one similar to it, but she's inside a cell. And what happens is a savior named David comes in, and says, hey, do you want some water? If you want some, I'll give you some, but you have to have physical relations with me to do so. Sasha doesn't want to do that. She fights with him, and the guy is intent on forcing himself on her. When who shows up? For the first time, we're actually happy somebody shows up. That is Negan. We've never been happy to see the man in the past, but this time we are, because he's very upset with David. He confronts him and says, David, what are you doing? You were about to rape her, weren't you? And David tries to, downplay what happened, but Negan knows exactly what happened, tries to apologize. Negan doesn't accept it. One of the biggest rules in that community is you do not rape. So what does he do? He takes out his knife, stabs it through David's throat, just like in the comics, and kills him. Now, what he ends up doing, actually, he does apologize to Sasha for David's conduct, letting her know that we're not rapists, we're not monsters. We may be, tough, but we are not like that. And he tells Sasha that he admires her. He does remember who she is. And like with Eugene, when he sees somebody that he knows has value, he wants to recruit them. And he tells Sasha, look, you can become somebody important to me. I'm obviously down a couple of people because of what you did, but you have a lot of guts. He uses a different term, but he basically says, I admire you. You are tough. I want you on my side. So join me. He gives her a knife and tells her, you can either try to attack me, you can kill yourself, or you can stab David as he's becoming a walker and join us. So Sasha is left with that decision. Now, Eugene interacts with Sasha several times in the episode. The first time he comes in, gives her a couple of things, and he urges Sasha to say yes to Negan's offer. He says the reason why that he did, and we really get some insight into what Eugene is thinking. Eugene says that, he realized before that the idea of him being a brave person, somebody, a warrior that Abraham would respect, and somebody that, he thought was a warrior, he really realizes he can never be that. Eugene is back to being the coward that he was. He said that when he saw Abraham and Glenn get killed, he was never more scared in his life, and he never wanted to be in that position again. So he's staying in the sanctuary because it does protect him. He realizes that Negan and his people can protect him, and he doesn't want to feel that fear again. And he tells Sasha, he insists, look, say yes. Please say yes to their offer. Be safe like me, and things will be okay for you. So we kind of get some insight into what Eugene is thinking. Whether or not we excuse it or not, hard to say, but he does something very terrible, in my opinion, later on in the episode. I'll get to that in just a second. So Negan goes back over. He sees that Sasha killed David as a walker, and she says yes. She says, yeah, I'm with you. I'm in. I will help you. I will be with you. I'll do what I have to do. And Negan is glad, but he does tell her, it's going to take some time. So he takes the weapon and keeps her in the cell, saying, hey, I have to learn to trust you. You would probably do the same thing if you were in my shoes. And Sasha, after thinking about it for a while, realizes that she can't do it. She says, I can't bring myself to work with Negan. And Eugene ends up coming back, and Sasha tells him, look, I can't do this. I have tried to find something in me that would allow me to work with him and push through this and work something out, but I can't. And she doesn't want Negan to use her to hurt her friends. She doesn't want to do that. So she asks Eugene for a favor. She asks him to get her something to allow her to kill herself, because that way she won't be forced to hurt anybody. And Eugene tells her that, he'll see what he can do. And you know what he ends up doing? He ends up bringing those suicide pills that he made for the wives and gives them to Sasha. And he tells her, he says, well, I did what I could. This is what I can do. I would advise you not to take them and, join the cause, but, these are for you if you want them. And Sasha's reaction is a little bit of a mixed one. In a sense, I think that really she was trying to test Eugene. I think that really in her heart, she wanted to see if she could get Eugene to make a decision on his own, to be brave, to do the right thing, and let her out and go back to Alexandria. But ultimately, he took the coward's way out. He really, did what she wanted, but I think that really she was hoping he would do something different, and he didn't. So Sasha is left with the suicide pills, and we don't know what she's going to do with them. There were scenes in the preview for next week that show that she is still alive, so she hasn't taken them yet, but whether she will or not, we will find out in the next upcoming episode. And the last scene of the episode was a very shocking one. The group gets back to Alexandria, and Rosita is there to greet them. She takes them back to the cell, and who is there? Dwight. She did meet up with Dwight. Dwight tells them, well, after Daryl sees him, he tries to attack Dwight. Obviously, we don't blame him. People have to hold him back, and Dwight says, I'm here to help. Rosita insists that Dwight is there to help them. He says, I want to help you guys. I want to kill Negan. I want to get revenge. So Rick looks at him and says, you really want to help? And the guy says, yeah. And Rick points his gun at Dwight and says, get on your knees, and that's the last thing that we see. So a lot of great things have been set up for this season finale. I think it's going to be spectacular. I cannot wait for it, but at the same time, I'm also sad that Walking Dead is once again coming to an end of the season. It just seems like it goes by so fast, but hopefully Fear the Walking Dead will have some great episodes coming up in June. That'll keep us held over as we get to October, and I'm really looking forward to what will be next on The Walking Dead. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there's anything that's coming up that I missed? What are some thoughts that you have after the end of the episode? Don't be afraid to let me know. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming, and if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.